Edmontosaurus here, walking along. This is sexy Edmontosaurus. Edmontosaurus 1 walks past and goes, and then carries on walking, just in case you weren't sure what that would look like. Now you know. Hey folks, this is Best in Slot, and in tonight's video we're going to take a look at the future of Prehistoric Kingdom. Obviously the game came out last week in early access, but it is still very much early access. We're on version 1.00, I believe. There's going to be new systems, new building items, new dinosaurs, new other prehistoric creatures, of course. Lots of bug fixes, new construction tools, lots of new things to come across the lifespan of the game, but we can actually get a really good preview of a lot of what that content might well be. The Prehistoric Kingdom devs have put up what's called a Trello, and a Trello is generally speaking used for roadmaps, and it kind of shows updates and planned updates and where they are at certain updates and stuff like that. So we're going to take a look at that today, and we're going to go through it and discuss it and react to it and sort of speculate a little bit about what that could be. Yes, I did not have any great video ideas for today. Leave me alone. So, let's take a look then. What is the future of Prehistoric Kingdom? It is worth mentioning that all of this is subject to change. You know, don't take these dates as, granted. Don't take them as guaranteed. Things may change between now and release. Some things will get shifted this way. Some things will get shifted that way. Some things will get shifted this way. They'll get shifted everywhere. Who knows what'll happen? But let's take a look, because this is actually really exciting. We're currently in May. Obviously, the game came out towards the end of April. The next update, as you can see up here, tell you what, let's zoom in even more. Next update, as you can see, early access 1.0.1, May 2022. So the next update, assuming they hit their deadline, will be this month. Very exciting. So part of that is a new animal additions. We can see that card right there, and this means Blue Meridian, who's the dev team, they can then, they can throw some descriptions in here. If they update this, if they finish this, I should say, they can add that in activity. A lot of these won't have a description, but we can kind of assume what's going on, I'm sure. But additional animal animations, so maybe that's more ambient behaviors, stuff like that, just general as they're walking around, just more active life for the dinosaurs. Food production system. A food inventory that can be found in the animal management system, so this will be part of your challenge mode builds. And as you can see, you will actually have to buy and resupply food for your park. It's actually a really interesting idea. We've known about this for a long time, but you can see there's 6 different types of food there: plants, fruit, kibble, insects, fish, and meat. And keep in mind, this is all subject to change and UI changes, etc. And you will order a specific amount of food, and then it'll take a certain amount of time to arrive as well. So it really is going to reward you for planning ahead, planning for the future, which is quite exciting actually for a management game to have this extra layer of depth and management. For example, if you've had like a fairly simple low-key park, but you're about to throw in a Tyrannosaurus Rex and you're building the exhibit, you might want to sort of plan ahead and order the meat for the T-Rex or the fruit if your T-Rex is a little funky. You want to order your meat ahead of time so it arrives just about when you're going to finish the exhibit, because you can't have a starving T-Rex wandering around. You'd have to feed it your bloody guests. There's also going to be a notification system, which you can see here, which very simply is just going to keep track of what you've done, basically, what's going on with your park. Did you gain any star rating today? Did you lose star rating? Did you gain any money? Maybe you gain loads of science points, etc, etc, etc. Just a bit more information. We also get the small and medium animal nursery, which is actually quite cool, because the animal nursery at the moment is absolutely gigantic, right? It's this humongous, I assume this is what this is. It's this humongous green building that you have to build around. You'll have seen it in the prefabs, one of which in particular is an absolute monster. It seems like maybe you'll be able to make like a look, right, imagine this is, okay, I'm going to, very professional here. This is the big one, and that's got all your dinosaurs in, so that can breed your sauropods. You have a medium one, which maybe, your medium theropods, and maybe your, I have to keep doing this, maybe your smaller ceratopsids and ankylosaurs, or your medium-sized ceratopsid and ankylosaurs, and maybe like a little teeny tiny one. And that would only breed, say, Protoceratops, or your Psittacosaurus, etc. So I assume the point is that when you start a new park, especially on harder difficulties where you don't want to spend the money on a big nursery, you could build a teeny tiny little nursery and save a lot of money, and it's probably going to be limited to dinosaurs that would naturally fit within that nursery. So it's just a bit of variety, really. And also, if you're wanting to save space on Sandbox or whatever. Habitat markers, for those of you who've played Planet Zoo, these are basically the invisible fences. I don't have any other way to describe it. It's an invisible fence that lets you still count as a paddock. Right now you have to use the fences in the game, otherwise it won't ever count as a paddock. It's actually kind of annoying, because one thing you often want to do in zoo games is build your own fences, build your own paddock barriers, and we can't do that right now unless you kind of like cover up the existing fence, if you know what I mean. But now you'll be able to. Dinosaurs will walk through it. As you can see, this very excited lad over here on the left hand side. He's just come at me, bro, to this Utah Raptor or whatever. About to be torn to absolute bloody shreds. But yeah, he can't be stopped. I think that's actually what's meant to be going on here. Bless him. Animal water trough. Right now, I don't believe there is an animal water system other than the natural rivers and stuff that you put into your habitat, so it'd be cool to have that. Topiary set, hedges, you know, just nice little decoration pieces for your park. It's nice. This seems like a very all-encompassing update. It's hitting a lot of different points. And item silhouettes and animal shapes, which is actually really cool. So I'm going to bring this back to Planet Zoo occasionally, but you see those little shapes. They're like flat 2D shapes, sort of resembling an animal. They're really good for decorating a habitat, or the area around the habitat more so. Right now, if you want to decorate the area around a habitat, you can really only use statues, and there's only 3: Edmontosaurus, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Mammophis. But assuming we get silhouettes for more of the animals in the game, then you could have your Psittacosaurus party house and then a picture of the Psittacosaurus right there, and that's really good for decoration and making your zoo feel a little bit more like an actual zoo. So that's, in theory, all coming in May. Of course, when any of these updates land, we'll cover them all here on the channel. But there's another update next month, seemingly EA 1.0.2 in June. I think it's worth noting as well, this doesn't include like optimization and balances and bug fixes and stuff like that. The game definitely needs optimization. I think that's probably priority number 1 actually right now. But that can be going on without it being mentioned here. Very exciting, this one though. Steam Workshop support, June next month. So your modular prefabs, the things you build in the game, and you stick them all together into a group, you can save as a prefab. And right now we can share them by sending files and stuff, but that's about it. It's a little bit awkward, but hopefully next month we're going to get... Look, it was added to the backlog, and then just last week they said, oh no, we're going to make it June. You'll be able to share these on the workshop, and you'll be able to download other people's buildings and exhibits and viewing towers and just all this different stuff that people are going to build in Prehistoric Kingdom. All those fantastic things you see people build will hopefully then start to flood the Steam Workshop. Really excited. This is a big update. I think we'll do what we did for Planet Zoo as well. We'll do a video series here on the channel where I'll bring you the best ones of the week and stuff like that. And we'll do like a little bit of a workshop showcase. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I like fun. Also coming, main menu update. Overhauls the 2D background. Not sure how that's going to get overhauled. At the moment, the 2D background is a picture of the Brachiosauruses, I believe. Kind of looking down at the camera. It's cute. Don't know what that's going to change about that. Maybe it's going to filter through some, maybe it's going to have some effects on it, maybe it'll be an ode to me, that'd be nice. Additional guest ethnicities, bloody Nora, and animation. I'm curious about the animation. Maybe that's, walking around and pointing at things, or going, wow, dinosaurs, which is exactly how I would sound around a dinosaur, or eating or sitting down or whatever, stuff like that. And obviously all the guests at the moment are basically just white lads and lasses, so it'd be nice to mix things up a little bit and have a more inclusive set of guests. These I'm really excited about as well, these animal info signs that we bring. There we go, look at that. So, oh, it is actually, there is one for the, so we've got a few different warning signs here. That's a fantastic one in particular. No climbing on fences or you will be eaten alive. This is very Dino Crisis. Sauropods have sensitive eyes. Don't tap the glass, it scares the theropods. These are fantastic little things, again, that really make it feel more like an actual zoo rather than a Jurassic Park kind of thing. And it is, it's meant to be a zoo game. It should have all the trappings of a real world zoo, just happens to contain prehistoric animals. But out of all of that, this is probably the most exciting bit, because that is woolly mammoth, Mammophis primigenius, and it is a info sign of some description. It's got a little map there, it's got a little picture there, it's got some information, it's got the Latin name, etc. So I'm wondering if we're going to get those for every species, because those again are a huge part of it feeling like a proper zoo, those info boards. You saw me with my Dryosaurus build where I kind of put like a really awkward sign in front of it just to try to replicate this feeling, so being able to do that in reality would be super cool beans. And I like beans. We're getting a new terracotta roof set, so I can see that being like a tile, shingly kind of thing. Rock Overhaul introduces new rock types and rock styling for the following surfaces. Okay, so first of all, new rock types is deeply erotic. You know what I'm like? There's already fantastic rocks in the game, so I'm very curious to see how they're going to mix that up even more. And then rock styling, I assume this is something that is applied on top of the rock, potentially? Sand, moss and snow, those are all things that you would think would fall on top of the rock, essentially. Or maybe the sand would be underneath, but the moss would grow over the top of the rock. The snow would grow over the top of the rock. Maybe it's like a toggle option, you know, you place down your rock, you go boom, snow, and then the snow kind of falls over the top of it, and that's how you would fit that rock within your snowy Mammothus habitat or whatever you're building. It's really interesting, actually. It does say subject to change. All of this should come with the caveat subject to change, right? None of this is guaranteed. And more foliage, apparently. Additional tropical foliage. Checklist 0% no. I'll check it. I can't check it for you. I'm trying to help you out, dev team. Right, so that is May and June. The next 2 months, 2 big chunky updates, both of which I think are going to really help it as a zoo building game more than anything else. But then it gets even more exciting. We've got 4 more of these to go through. I'm going to try to keep this snappy. EA 1.1, the first major update. You know, this is 1.01, 1.02, 1.1. Big, chunky update. There may be like little baby updates between these updates, but you know, this is more like planning for the future. And this first quarterly update, which you'd assume then is 3 months post-release. So April, May, June, maybe late July, early August. I'm assuming that's what it means. So let's say August, right? Optimistically. It could be later. I don't want to put, and Dave not put a date down. I don't want to put a date down, but I'm just saying that's what it sounds like on the face of it. New species, 3 new species. It doesn't say what it's going to be because they're cheeky little players, and I'm sure they don't want to commit to it right now. But we have seen over time and over the devlogs and stuff like that, progression of various different species that were being worked on by the PK team. Dinosaurs that were being reinvigorated, dinosaurs that are clearly meant to be part of the full release of the game eventually, and therefore dinosaurs that are likely to be part of early access release as well. So I'm going to just show you that list, bear with me. So according to the Prehistoric Kingdom wiki, and it's worth noting again, this is like user made, I'm pretty sure, these are the dinosaurs that are potential post-launch dinosaurs in Prehistoric Kingdom. And this will largely be based on the dinosaurs that we've seen in development, the dinosaurs that we've seen images for, maybe dinosaurs that developers have talked about, yada yada yada. But if you want an idea of what possible dinosaurs are going to be coming in those future updates, or possible other animals, I should say, what is unknown animal, out of curiosity? Nothing is known. It's a thing. It exists. Weird. I'll go through these quickly then. So Allosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Baryonyx, Carnotaurus, which I hope does that. Everyone's obsessed with that now. That is the new thing. Ceratosaurus, Coelophysis, Dilophosaurus, which would be super exciting. Diplodocus, Edmontonia, Gallimimus, Guanlong, which I love deeply, Meragia, Tyrannosaurus, Oviraptor, Plateosaurus, which may be Plateosaurus. Is that the first time I've pronounced that correctly in my entire life? I always call it Platosaurus. Prenocephaly, Spinosaurus, which of course the world would go insane for. Stegosaurus, Utahraptor, Velociraptor, Utaranus, my beloved more than anything else, an unknown ornithopod, and an unknown Thyreophoran. In the mammals, we've got Bos, Daeodon, Hyaenodon, Megaloceros, Megatherium, Paraceratherium, and Ursus. Lots of exciting things here, but none more exciting, of course, than Megatherium, which would be just all I need. That and Utaranus are all I really need in my life. Who's this unknown Thyreophoran? Nobody knows. Anyways, so lots of exciting potential species, and it sounds like within a couple of months we'll have 3 more of those in our parks. I'm going to have to make sure I finish my zoo before then, so it's ready to receive those new species. Let me know in the comment section down below what of those dinosaurs, what of those prehistoric mammals, etc. would you be most excited to have in your parks. One thing I'm curious about as well is what are the plans for more aviary species? Because we've only got 2 right now. How else is that going to work? I assume the plan is to have more in the end, but maybe they wouldn't be aviaries, maybe they'd be small contained animals in some other sense. I don't know. But there's also animal locomotion update, which is just how the animals move around their habitats, going to get better. Animals look targets. At the moment, animals don't really regard each other as existing per se. Now they will look at other creatures and objects. Edmontosaurus here, walking along. This is sexy Edmontosaurus. Edmontosaurus 1 walks past and goes, and then carries on walking. Just in case you weren't sure what that would look like, now you know. Random objectives to complete during challenge mode, which is pretty cool. Just little things, and maybe you get, you get some money, you get some science points for making your guests happy or increasing guest count, blah, 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 which is pretty cool. Just little challenges to... It gives you something to aim for, kind of like points out maybe weak points in your park that you maybe need to work on. Research system. I've talked about that quite a lot in the past. I can't remember if it uses the science points or something else, but either way, for challenge mode at the moment, it's kind of sandbox-esque in that you've got all the objects unlocked from the start. Maybe you'll be unlocking construction tools, construction items, maybe even unlocking new systems entirely, new types of food, stuff like that for your dinosaurs. I think that will be part of it for sure, because it'll be part of food production as well. But you can actually increase quality of food. Not something that people really do very often in this game at the moment, but you can change food quality. So maybe you can unlock like higher food qualities via the research system. Guest welfare. Don't know what that means, because guest welfare... Actually, guest welfare isn't a thing right now. There is a tab for it, but it always says 100% as far as I can tell. So your guests, technically, I believe, do not need food or toilets or anything like that to be perfectly happy in the current state of the game. So I assume that's going to get fixed. At that point, a map, which would be pretty cool. And a new biome, but we don't know what it is. Tundra, I've decided. So... another quarterly update after that. We'll just kind of nip through these now at the end. Got 3 more. So next quarterly update. 3 more species. So you'd assume this would, if one's in August, June, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, approximately. 3 more species of some description. Very exciting. Locomotion, swimming dinosaurs, and herding and packing. Overhauled social needs for your dinosaurs. A heat system for your dinosaurs, you know. It's kind of in the game right now as well. You can change the temperature of your aviaries, but I don't think it actually matters. And you can't change the temperature of your actual exhibits. There's no heaters or any coolers or something like that. But eventually, that would make a lot more sense. Your dinosaurs from tropical habitats are going to need hotter environments than your dinosaurs from tundra or grassland habitats. Paleopedia, which I'm assuming is like a collection of information about the dinosaurs in the game, creatures in the game. Map. Map is appearing at some point, and yet another new biome. We can zoom through here, which is nice. Quarterly update again, so you'd assume maybe early next year for this one, January. 3 more species, animal disease system, staff and staff management. So it's actually quite a way away from that one. Paleobotany, which is an interesting idea. So maybe... well, at the moment we don't have any prehistoric plants. We have modern plants. My nose is very itchy all of a sudden. I was like, we only have modern plants as far as I... well, do we? I'm sure we've got some plants that were at least around prehistorically. But we don't have any, as far as I know, plants that were purely prehistoric. It's a lot of modern stuff, which makes sense. Again, it's a modern zoo. But the idea of being able to research plants that would have existed at the same time as our creatures, and therefore maybe contribute to the ecology points of our exhibits, is quite an interesting idea. And this would be a very natural fit for the research system as well. Improvements to the landscaping tools. Not sure what that'll be, but it's very exciting. And map, of course. Blessed map. And then the final one. Actually, oh no, not quite. 3 more species yet again. So by the end of EA 1.4, and by the end of the year, basically, if it's 4 quarterly updates, and you never know what's going to happen in between, you never know how these things can change, but in theory, in a year's time, we'd have 12 more species in the game, which is a good number, I think. Taking us up to what, 36? Something like that. But also very exciting stuff here. Animal genetic mutations, for example, which is really cool. I can see things like Carnotaurus, for example, having longer horns, etc., etc. Probably nothing quite Jurassic World the game style, but you know, maybe albino patterning, stuff like that. Extra horn length, or let me think of any other examples at all. They'll be humongous. But this is actually even more exciting. Animal ontogeny and breeding. So this time next year, hopefully-ish, animals will look at other creatures or objects. Ontogeny is basically... so, well, breeding obviously does what it says on the tin. Edmontosaurus walks past, sees sexy Edmontosaurus, and then... does its thing. But the exciting thing about that, not only breeding, which is really cool because we don't really get that in dinosaur games, they've done their thing. Baby Advantosaurus comes out, right? And so I'm going to bring this back to Planet Zoo. But in Planet Zoo at the moment, the babies turn into adults, like automatically, right? it's instantaneous when you look away after a certain amount of time. And that's fine, it works. But if you look back at games like Saurian, for example, you're born as a little Triceratops, this ugly little demon thing, and you see it change over the lifespan. The morphology changes gradually rather than being instantaneous, and that's what an ontogeny system does. It bridges the gap between the newborn and the adult with these natural stages in between. So you'd have all these different life stages going on at once. All your dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals would grow up naturally. It's very cool. and a map again, obviously. So that's it for the planned updates that have a dated release. And again, I have to emphasize, this is all subject to change. But the point is, these are all the planned updates that they've got a rough idea about when they want to hit. However, there's other stuff in development. If we swing over bada to the right, you see that in ongoing development, so things that are currently being worked on, the biomes, so there's two more, so desert and grassland, are the two that, this is nice, look at the information we're getting here. Desert and grassland are both being actively worked on, so those are probably the two biomes we've seen in this list over here. Guest AI and pathfinding, which is desperately needed. It really is. You've seen what happens in my park. And animal welfare is obviously a big one as well. But then on the backlog, we've got some other things as well that they want to include in the game, but they don't necessarily have, it's not like a massive priority right now. They're not 100% sure when that will be included. Mini aviary work, let's see this. Mini aviaries are going to see a full rework in the future, so very little has changed between alpha and beta in terms of what the animals can do. In the meantime, we've made the aviary cage into a modular object to better fit with the construction grid. So by the sounds of it, it's going to be focused more on what the animals do within the confines of the mini aviary. I don't know if this ever happened, because they were on a loop, right? So, Archaeopteryx is here, and maybe it flies there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there, it comes back there. That's how they started. Now, I remember doing a video on this a long time ago, but there was a plan for them to have, it would be set animations, but there would be a little bit of intelligence behind it. So the Archaeopteryx wants to go there, or there, or there. It's got 3 points it can fly to in a set animation, and it would then choose one to go to, right? I don't know if that got included into the game or not, but I'd be very curious to see how they're going to expand the excitement from these aviaries. And staff management system, temperature system, a grass rendering overhaul, which might be good for the old optimization. Path curbs is actually quite a big deal. Might not seem it, but path curbs would help a lot with the style of the parks. You're going to have to build your own right now. But unfortunately, in December they decided, no, less important, and it is less important. Water surface interaction, so weather, wetness, occlusion, foliage, wind simulation improvements, dynamic camera mix, and sound obstruction. Changes audio post-processing when entering building interiors. Yeah, so basically when you go inside a building, the camera goes kind of thing, or maybe when you drop underwater, stuff like that in general. And audio for the guest/crowds. Yeah, there you go. That is the future of Prehistoric Kingdom. So things are liable to change. Dates may change. Things may come earlier. Things may come later. Other things may get added. Some things may be taken from this and put on the backlog. There will be problems along the way. There will be good revelations along the way. You know, it's always up in the air. But I really appreciate this kind of open communication, and it's really cool to have a rough idea about what is coming down the line. We know now that even if it doesn't quite hit May, because, you know, game development's bloody hard, even if it doesn't quite hit May, we know we've got a pretty cool update coming next. You know, these additional animal animations is quite a big deal. The smaller nurseries. This is not the biggest one. This is probably the smallest of the bunch. But I'm excited about silhouettes and animal shapes, actually. Yeah. There's also a lack, other than, like, right here, of new building stuff. I imagine it's harder to plan exactly what's going to be in these future updates. Like right now, like the smaller things in here aren't necessarily here, I think, if I had to guess. You know, like things like animal info signs. Maybe you're not going to plan 7 months ahead to have animal info signs in update 1.3, for example, but maybe by the time update 2 is done, you realize, oh, we need a few more animal update signs, maybe you would then throw those into update 1.3, you know what I mean? Or maybe there'll be a small update between 1.2 and 1.3. What I'm saying is this is not necessarily everything that we're going to get, and things would be liable to be added throughout, I would assume, especially in terms of construction, because I'd say there is a lack of construction stuff within this update, generally speaking. No idea how long that video was, but I actually really get quite excited about this. I think it's really cool stuff, and really excited to check it out. And obviously we'll be covering the game right here on the channel, so stick around if you haven't already. I've got a playlist down below for Prehistoric Kingdom, go check that out. Leave me a like if you enjoyed the video. I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. Cheers, much love. Let me know what you're most excited about in the comment section down below. Bye-bye.